Ever wonder if Lois Griffin, Quahog's sharp-tongued piano-playing matriarch, could survive a day in court? After taking a closer look at her most scandalous and downright questionable antics, it's clear that Lois isn't just baking pies and grounding Meg.
Okay.
Lois?
I'm just finishing the dishes.
She's been stirring up trouble and sometimes breaking the law in ways that would make even her husband Peter raise an eyebrow. So let's jump right in. Even though Lois Griffin might find herself losing in a competition against Quagmire when it comes to public indecency, after all, while Quagmire's outrageous behavior is often fueled by his own unique charm, Lois has her own share of jaw-dropping moments. In Family Guy's Season 9, Episode 9, in Im Joyce Kinney, we see Lois crying next to Peter after her adult film gets leaked.
I mean, most of them are just random background people we've never seen before anyway.
Peter attempts to comfort her, saying that most of those people are just random background people who they've never seen before anyway. Brian then comforts Lois, saying that those people can only make her feel bad as long as she lets them, and that they can't hurt her if she owns up to her choices.
If you own the choice that you made, you take away all their power to make you feel bad about yourself.
What do you mean?
Well, you remember a few years back, people used to make all those jokes about how Ryan Seacrest was gay? And then he started making those jokes himself, and now nobody makes those jokes anymore.
This leads Lois to come to a conclusion that to truly not be ashamed of her past anymore, she must do the unthinkable. Lois walks into church with the rest of her family.
Hello, Father.
She talks about how she's heard all the stories and that Jesus himself used to walk around with a prostitute.
If they had cameras back then, I bet she would have done a porno.
She claims she made a simple mistake and decides to show her adult video to the entire church, leading them to all cheer for her and start clapping.
I know I'm a man of God, but that is hot.
Although everything seems to wrap up happily in the end, Lois's actions could certainly be classified as public indecency. Legally speaking, this would lead her to facing 1 year in prison and a $1,000 fine. In Season 12, Episode 10, Vestigial Peter, we see Peter get some groceries for the house without asking Lois. Lois spirals out of control and starts beating Peter up for taking away the one thing she has in this life.
And we were out of some stuff, so I...
Listen to me, you son of a bitch. I've got one thing in this lifetime.
You always say I never do anything!
She even throws a can at an escaping Chris.
Oh, crap! Ow!
I do groceries.
There are even more cases of simple assault scattered all across the show. So it is safe to say this isn't a one-time thing, and her actions could lead to serious charges. Assault charges would carry a penalty of 1 year in prison and a $1,000 fine. Lois may have a knack for getting angry, but her violent tendencies could certainly come back to haunt her if the law takes notice. When it comes to property damage, Lois Griffin is in a league of her own. Forget broken vases, she's all about arson and vandalism. In Family Guy Season 3, Episode 16, A Very Special Family Guy Christmas, Lois comes home and finds her home a mess with the turkey she was cooking burnt to a crisp. At first, Lois is calm and attempts to cool down Brian and Peter, who are fighting, saying that even though a couple of things went wrong, they can still have a great Christmas.
Okay, so a couple of things have gone wrong, but we can still have a great Christmas.
Ah, jeez, kids. You know, I was this close to losing it, but your mom's right.
Sure I am.
However, when she is told by Meg that there are no more paper towels, she goes into a fit of rage. After throwing the turkey into the TV and screaming at everyone angrily, she breaks through a window and storms out of the house.
No paper towels! Ah! You all think Christmas just happens. All this goodwill just falls from the freaking sky. It falls out of my holly jolly butt. Wrap your own damn presents and hey, you can all ride a one-horse open sleigh to hell! Ah!
Oh, here's a paper towels.
She then proceeds to set Mr. Snowman on fire amidst her rampage of the town.
Ah, what the... Ah, take it off! Take it off!
Must kill Star.
The next time we see her, she climbs up the city's Christmas tree and takes the star off the top of it.
Lights, please.
However, Peter and the others manage to calm her down with a Christmas pageant, and ultimately shooting her with a sedative.
As we all know, Christmas is that mystical time of year when the ghost of Jesus rises from the grave to feed on the flesh of the living. So we all sing Christmas carols to lull him back to sleep.
How dare he say such blasphemy? I've got to do something.
Bob, there's nothing you can do.
Well, I guess I'll just have to develop a sense of humor.
Good evening. I'm playing the role of Jesus. Anywho, the perennial dictum is to spread goodwill towards all men. But the irony, of course, is that this is contrary to our nature. So why do we do it? Because we are being watched. And so we unselfishly think of others, assured that our good behavior will be rewarded with love and plutonium.
Yeah, she's not getting it. Okay, boys, take her down.
Setting fire to Mr. Snowman and climbing municipal property would likely lead to serious charges of vandalism, arson, and destruction of public property. Lois would face fines exceeding $100,000, a hefty community service sentence, and 5 years in prison. Talk about a Christmas to remember. Then, another small crime, and given Stewie's nature, some might not even consider it a crime. We have a case of child negligence. In Season 4, Episode 9, Breaking Out is Hard to Do, Lois and the kids go for some shopping.
Okay, now don't wander too far, kids.
Lois decides to leave Stewie in the car and go look for some oranges. However, her crucial mistake is leaving him behind whilst handing him a plastic bag.
Oh, what brilliant parenting, Lois. Leave a tiny infant with a plastic bag.
As Stewie himself states, it's a pretty dumb decision to leave a 1-year-old with a plastic bag. Stewie, of course, takes this as an opportunity to try asphyxiating himself for fun.
Blast!
Classic Stewie. Although Lois fails miserably in this situation, her actions, or lack thereof, could be legally classified as criminal negligence. On a trip to the fire station with the kids, it is also revealed that Lois and Peter abandoned Meg the first time they got her. Yes, instead of baby's first steps, it was the baby's first drop-off and ditch. Then, in Season 14, Episode 11, Stewie becomes a TV star, and Lois and Peter push him constantly to keep performing. They even give him drugs to make sure he doesn't fall asleep. What's next? A sippy cup full of espresso?
I call it 8-hour energy. And the other 3 hours are espresso, Scott's turf builder, and a tiny, super small amount of cocaine. I can't stress the littleness of it enough.
While it may all be played for laughs, her behavior could legally classify as child negligence and abandonment, crimes that carry heavy consequences. Lois would be looking at 20 years behind bars for child neglect and endangerment if she wasn't shielded by cartoon immunity. Moving on to theft and property crime, though Lois may not be guilty of stealing hearts the same way Quagmire is, she still has her fair share of theft under her belt. In the episode Breaking Out is Hard to Do, Lois realizes she forgot to go to the bank and is a little short on cash and goes to put the ham back. However, as soon as she is out of the cashier's sight, her inner kleptomaniac comes out and she decides to put the loaf of ham in her bag instead. Later on in the episode, Lois is seen shopping for some dresses.
Oh, this is cute.
When she looks at the price of one particular dress, though, she is understandably shocked and immediately puts it back. However, once again, we see something take over her, and she doesn't just steal that one particular dress. She goes on a rampage, taking everything in her sight and stuffing it in her car. I'm starting to think the whole kleptomaniac thing isn't a joke, as right after stealing everything, we can see Lois acting just like one.
I'm alive!
When Joe and his wife come over for dinner, we can see a pile of new stuff in the Griffin's living room. Peter comments that Lois has been splurging her ass off, but clearly something isn't adding up. Next, while at the car store, Brian catches Lois stealing car parts of all things.
Brian, what are you doing here?
I should ask you the same question.
Skipping over most of the events of the episode, Joe finds out Lois has not only been shoplifting, but stealing valuable pieces of art and takes her to court. The judge at first wants to let her go, but gives her 2 years in prison after she steals his gavel.
Where the hell is my gavel? Give me that. I sentence you to 2 years in the state prison.
Ah, man, that is bogus.
Order in the court. Mr. Griffin and I'll extend the sentence.
She does manage to break out and later gets her sentence erased. So, justice isn't exactly served. When you add up several counts of misdemeanor theft along with Grand Theft Auto for the Matisse painting, Lois could be facing some serious legal consequences. Depending on the value of the stolen artwork, the charges would result in 30 years in prison, with fines starting around $500,000. Looks like her art heist could come with quite the expensive price tag, both legally and financially. Lois Griffin doesn't always wait for an invitation, especially when she's on a mission. Whether it's sneaking into a place to borrow something, or just making a chaotic entrance, Lois has no problem crossing the line into breaking and entering. In Season 10, Episode 12, Livin' on a Prayer, Lois and Peter find out about a family who aren't letting their cancer-born child get treatment as they believe God will help him instead.
Look, we appreciate your concern, Lois, but Scotty is our son.
But your son is sick. He needs help.
Peter and Lois then discuss some possible solutions with Joe, who tells them they can file a suit that would take months, and there would still be no guarantee the court wouldn't support the parents.
You could file a suit, but that could take months, and even then there's no guarantee the court wouldn't support the parents' right to practice their religion.
How could we live in a country that would allow a sick child to die?
Peter and Lois decide to take matters into their own hands, breaking into that house and kidnapping the kid so they can get him some treatment instead.
I mean, I know it's wrong, but it's better than just letting him die.
And it's not a bad idea. It's like we're doing a public service, like those idiots who get together to paint a school.
Peter goes to break and enter into the family's house. However, Peter accidentally gets a hold of Ben instead of Scotty.
All right, I got him, Lois.
Peter, what the? That's not Scotty.
Well, you know, we ain't known this family that long. I'm still learning everybody's names.
Put him back and go get Scotty, the baby.
While I'm doing that, maybe you do something about that snatchy tone.
Peter finally manages to get the right kid, and they drive off.
I don't know. It came from Scotty's room.
All right, we did it.
Yes, we got the kid and the treasure.
Peter, there's no treasure.
Oh, well, never mind then.
Now, even though Lois doesn't directly break and enter herself, she still comes up with the entire plan and is right there by Peter's side when they kidnap Scotty. Even if their intentions were noble, this would come under both breaking and entering and kidnapping. Breaking and entering is classified as a felony, and Lois would face 20 years in prison and a $20,000 fine. Pair that up with kidnapping, and you get a life sentence with parole at 25 years. Moving on from minor crimes, we now have crimes related to minors. Yeah, you guessed it. Of course Lois has her fair share of pedophilia under her belt. In Season 11, Episode 6, Peter insults Lois, talking about how she isn't the same as she was when she was young.
What were once two firm, impressive mountain peaks have become a barren, strip-mined, muddy landslide that droops ever downward. What were once pink and succulent rose petals now take the form of the shredded, raggedy, blown-out end piece of a practical joker's exploding cigar.
Yeah, that's enough.
Even though he slightly redeems himself by saying he still loves her as she is, Lois seems bothered by the whole interaction as a whole.
But you're still my reliable old plow horse who's there each day to pull the plow, to help around the barn, and let the husband horse slap a batch into her now and then. Well, I guess that's it. I love you, sweetheart.
She runs away crying after being humiliated in front of everyone.
Lois!
Mom?
The next time we see Lois, she looks much younger and all dolled up. Evidently, she has had some work done.
Hey, OMG, stop staring at me, please. Okay, thanks.
We then see Lois at a Justin Bieber concert on TV exclaiming, "We love you, Justin!"
Woohoo! We love you, Justin!
Lois manages to get backstage and finds Justin Bieber before the concert.
Hey there, cutie.
Oh, hey, how's it going?
She then attempts to seduce and have sex with a probably underage Justin Bieber, reaching for his pants and saying, "Okay, honey, just get your pants off."
I'm Stifler's mom.
Still, no idea.
Okay, just get your pants off, hun.
This not only comes under pedophilia, but possibly attempted rape, as she goes for his pants well before getting his consent. Since it wasn't that severe, Lois would only be facing around 10 years in prison for attempted solicitation of a minor. Next, we have an instance of straight-up rape. As in Season 5, Episode 6, Prick Up Your Ears, Lois's antics evolve from just petty theft and bullying. She dresses up as the Grimace for roleplay night in an attempt to seduce her husband.
Here comes Grimace. You got some burgers I can steal?
The Hamburglar steals hamburgers. Grimace is Ronald McDonald's retarded friend.
When she attempts to unclothe an uninterested Peter, though, she finds him wearing a chastity belt of all things.
What is that for?
He claims he is abstinent and that sex turns straight people gay and gay people into Mexicans.
This is nonsense. You can't force abstinence on kids.
What possible harm can abstinence do?
Later in the episode, Lois attempts to seduce Peter again.
I'm wide awake, Peter. You want to mess around?
You know I'm abstinent.
Can't you break your stupid pledge for one night?
Well, I guess we do both have needs.
Oh, Peter.
Lois says she will have regular sex with Peter whether he likes it or not.
No!
I wasn't asking your permission.
She then proceeds to maritally rape Peter, forcing him to have sex with her even through his constant claims and protests of being abstinent.
No! 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 Oh, I see what you're driving at.
In a real-world scenario, Lois would face 20 years in prison and hefty fines for sexual assault. And that's just the beginning. She may be the household boss in the Griffin family, but in the eyes of the law, her actions would lead to some serious legal repercussions. Lois has already racked up a pretty big track record of crimes, public indecency to theft, and the more serious offenses like rape. The numbers start to add up quickly. With a combined sentence of 112 years in prison and $622,000 in fines. She might be the matriarch of the Griffin family, but her actions reveal a much darker side that could make even Peter's wildest schemes seem relatively tame by comparison. But this isn't the end of the story. The legal consequences keep piling up, so let's dive deeper into her long list of crimes. During Season 9, Episode 9, in a recap, we see Lois bullying a younger Joyce Kinney at a time when they were both in high school. Apparently, Lois put a blindfold on Joyce's head, telling her she'd made the cheerleading squad. When the blindfold comes off, we see Joyce standing with her pants around her ankles and a hot dog in her mouth in front of the entire school.
It was a horrible thing to do, Lois.
Her actions in this recap come under sexual assault legally, and she would be charged with 5 years in prison. Now we have a case of manslaughter, where Lois admits to killing someone, perhaps in cold blood. In Season 16, Episode 10, Boy Dog Meets Girl Dog, we see Chris talk about setting out a cigar and a can of tuna fish for Arthur Valentine, exclaiming that he can't wait to see what he brings him. We later find out that Arthur Valentine is a made-up character for Valentine's Day in the Griffin house.
I'm afraid it's something we made up that we finally need to deal with.
Much like Santa Claus is for Christmas everywhere else. Now that Chris is in his late teens, they decide to stage Arthur Valentine's death, instead of coming clean with the truth. The way they figure out to do this is that Lois runs over a fake Arthur Valentine, killing the legend then and there.
I love you so much and I haven't cussed once today! Dad, get the bowl of tuna from under my bed! He's dead! He's dead!
However, this leaves Chris in a sort of comatose shock, and it is during this comatose state that Lois admits to killing a jaywalker many years ago. She claims it is why she asks questions so much and thinks about the jaywalker whenever it's quiet, and even claims that every mother has killed someone.
That's why all mothers do that. Every mother has killed someone. Now drink your ginger ale.
Hey, hey, hey! It's Arthur Valentine, here to accelerate awkwardly into a bush.
In the real world, this would be classified as manslaughter or even second-degree murder, with charges of 20 years in prison and substantial fines. Lois might have a way of spinning things with humor, but her actions in this episode cross a line into the gravest of offenses. In Season 5, Episode 17, It Takes a Village Idiot and I Married One, the family goes on a vacation at Quagmire's cabin. While swimming at the local lake, they find that the water feels kinda funny and smells really bad.
Ah! Dad, look!
Holy crap!
Then suddenly, everyone's hair starts falling out, so they run out of the lake.
Oh my God, what the hell is wrong with this lake?
Brian points out that Quahog Oil Refinery is dumping their waste into the lake.
So they can just dump their waste into the lake?
Lois goes to the Quahog Town Hall to complain to the mayor.
The Quahog Oil Refinery is emptying all their toxic waste into the lake.
Only to find out that the mayor himself sanctioned this instance of industrial pollution into the city lake.
What?
In return for free oil for his hair.
Hey, baby. Want some Adam West?
Lois claims she will not stand by as he lets this town be destroyed by corruption. She promises him that the next election she will run for mayor against him and win.
All right, Mrs. Griffin, you want to take me on? Fine.
Lois manages to win the election against the current mayor, Adam West, and all seems well for Quahog.
Quahog's new mayor is Lois Griffin.
Oh.
Until Lois slowly realizes that running a town without corruption is gonna be extremely hard when she proposes a small tax increase to help clean up the streets, and everyone boos.
No, that's awful. No, I'm not okay with that.
No new taxes!
No
new taxes! No new taxes!
She then tries to use buzzwords like terrorists and Hitler to make up a false story of assassinating Jesus to convince the people that reform is needed.
That's right. Terrorists. We have intelligence that suggests that Hitler is plotting with the Legion of Doom to assassinate Jesus, using the lake as a base.
However, when she is asked how much money she needs to make the people feel safe once more, she realizes she can ask for any amount of money, and as long as she plays to their fears, they will pay up.
I threw a 10. See that 10 there? I threw that. At the top of the news, Lake Quahog is once again clean.
Back home, Lois tells her family that she may have dipped into the tax surplus, using the money for the town on her own personal expenses, like buying a fancy bag.
Wait a minute, you used taxpayer money to buy yourself a handbag?
It's no big deal, Brian. Besides, there was a lot left over after the lake cleanup.
Lois and Peter even reroute the town's electricity to reanimate the corpse of Jim Varney, causing rolling blackouts across the town.
Howdy, Vern. This is some dadgum nice house you got here, Vern. Vern.
Oh, wait, it was John Belushi. That's who I wanted.
When the owner of Quahog Oil offers to buy her an expensive coat in return for letting him dump waste into the city river, she folds and allows him to do whatever he wants.
This guy don't sit right with me, Lois. He don't sit right with me.
But I just cleaned up Quahog Lake.
Do you want the coat or not?
I want the coat.
Excellent. Then we have a deal.
Brian's gonna be really upset when he finds out. I'll just take him for a ride in the car.
After seeing the way the people are suffering from the waste being dumped in the lake, Lois turns it off and decides to remember who she is. However, the owner of Quahog Oil finds out and threatens to inform the people about all the money Lois embezzled, telling her to play ball or else she will be replaced.
I'll play ball.
Lois decides to resign as mayor and give the mayorship back to Adam West, claiming politics does terrible things to good people.
You wised up before it was too late.
I became the very thing I set out to destroy.
I'm mayor again.
Now, even though she came to her senses in the end, Lois's criminal actions, embezzling town funds, accepting bribes, and enabling environmental damage for personal gain are serious offenses. The sentence for embezzlement and bribery would be 20 years in prison and a $250,000 fine for each offense. Given the multiple crimes committed, Lois would face a cumulative sentence of up to 40 years. Lois has also on one occasion brought out her inner Breaking Bad. While the season 11 episode Farmer Guy starts off quite innocently, with the family buying a farm to avoid the increasing crime rate in Quahog, especially since they find their home burglarized.
Oh my God! We've been burglarized!
Well, we'll just have to get that $17 insurance check and start over.
Oh my God, it's so creepy to think there were strangers in our house. I've never felt so scared.
I have.
I mean, all I ever wanted was to raise our children in a wholesome place, far away from all the crime and problems of the big city.
Hi, I'm Peter Griffin, so I'd like to buy your farm.
All right. Well, the going rate for my farm is $875,000.
Nobody called ahead? Somebody from Fox was supposed to call ahead. They usually take care of it, and then I just go ahead and do stuff.
Hello? Yes, that'll be fine.
However, things take a turn for the worse when a tornado starts coming their way.
Hang on, guys. It might just be the Tasmanian devil.
The family decides to run and take shelter in the storm cellar of their farm. Whilst in the storm cellar, the family finds a lab of some kind.
Oh, sweet. It's some kind of lab. Hey, maybe it has one of those things that goes...
Meg finds a book, and she figures out that this might be a meth lab.
Oh my God. You mean like as in DRUGS? Aren't those ILLEGAL?
The family realizes they have access to a fully functional meth lab in their basement. And as normal people do,
We have to call the police.
although Lois initially wants to call the police, she gets convinced by Peter that it isn't all bad after all, and that this is a good opportunity for them to actually cook meth themselves.
What are you talking about, Peter?
I'm talking about saving the farm. Don't you see, this lab is just what we need to get back on our feet.
He claims that they can use this lab to save the farm.
No way, Peter. Dealing drugs is morally wrong, not to mention incredibly dangerous.
Come on, we've always been risk takers. You remember when we did it in the bathroom at that restaurant? I can't believe we're actually going to do this.
Yeah, you go in first, and I'll go in a minute.
However, after being convinced by Peter that they have always been risk takers and that the family needs this, she decides to put her conscience aside and help the family in their new business.
Thanks, Lois. Oh, this is going to work out great.
By agreeing to cook meth with Peter and the others, she voluntarily becomes an accomplice to the crime of manufacturing and later distributing a controlled substance. Not only do Peter and Lois themselves indulge in this crime, they even get their infant son to buy ingredients for them. Lois Griffin's brief stint as a meth cook would give her life imprisonment and fines reaching $10 million. Lois's turn to a life of crime would leave her with more than just a ruined conscience. It would likely ruin her life too. So next time someone says, "We need to save the farm," maybe leave the chemistry experiments to the professionals. Lois Griffin has always been a believer in the truth. Or at least her version of it. When she gets swept up in the latest conspiracy, it's not long before she's joining the ranks of Quahog's most vocal anti-vaxxers. In Season 15, Episode 6, Hot Shots, Lois is told Stewie hasn't been vaccinated yet.
As long as you're here, I see Stewie hasn't had his vaccinations yet. Should we take care of that?
Well, I suppose so.
However, when she is given a pamphlet about the risk of vaccinations, she finds out that they put some of the disease in the shot itself.
Possible side effects: fever, severe allergic reaction, muscle and joint pain. Wait, and this can't be right. They actually put some of the disease in the shot?
Hey man, how many questions your lady ask?
Like a million?
She exclaims that she is now unsure of getting Stewie vaccinated and asks for some time to think about it.
Yeah, because we don't want to make a big mistake, like when I peed next to the chatty guy.
She researches a lot of anti-vaxxer stuff on Brian's laptop and comes to the conclusion that she must not get Stewie vaccinated.
Oh no, Lois, don't tell me you fell for all that anti-vaxxer crap.
Lois then realizes she needs to change everyone else's minds to protect them too.
We're getting this town to change its mind about vaccinations.
Yeah, I'm with you. Just as soon as I finish getting the word out about the one thing more important.
Lois goes to the park and starts trying to spread awareness against vaccinations. She claims heartless corporations make billions of dollars by selling garbage to kids. Lois and Peter manage to turn the entire town into anti-vaxxers, and the result of this is a town-wide measles epidemic and over 150 deaths. Talk about collateral damage.
Speak for yourself, Brian. I, for one, am enjoying the indoor family time. Who's up for another game of hot breath telephone?
Lois's promotion of anti-vaccination ideas leads to disastrous consequences. Not only does she jeopardize Stewie's health, but she also influences an entire town to reject vaccinations, resulting in a deadly measles outbreak. In this case, her actions would be seen as reckless endangerment, and the legal consequences would be severe, especially given the number of lives lost. She would be given 1,500 years in prison for spreading conspiracy and involuntary manslaughter of 150 people. In total, Lois's cumulative legal penalties would result in 1,714 years in prison with over $10,872,000 in fines. The comedic absurdity of Family Guy may allow her to escape unscathed, but by real-world standards, her criminal escapades would make her a highly dangerous repeat offender. Lois Griffin's life behind bars would be far from the sitcom chaos of her Quahog home. Let's hope she doesn't drop the soap while spending her 1,714 years in prison.